Hi, this is Daniela, and welcome to Bestie Life, the podcast, where we help you stop burnout now. If you're tired of running on empty, juggling all the things, and wondering when your life is supposed to feel better, you're in the right place. This show is your go-to space for real talk and practical strategies to help you protect your energy, create balance, and actually enjoy the life you're working so hard for. You'll get a mix of solo episodes and honest conversations with guests. My goal is to help you feel less alone, more empowered, and way more in control of your time and energy and well-being. So let's get into it. Hi, this is Daniela with Bestie Life, the podcast. And today I want to dive into something that I've seen all the time, and maybe you've experienced too, but I had never heard it called this. And someone was talking about the frozen intent. And it's the moment you want to kind of change. You really do. You want to do something different, start to make that change in your life. But your past experiences have chipped away kind of at your faith in your own follow through and your own ability to do it. And maybe you've bought courses before that you haven't finished. You've joined the mastermind, but really barely engaged. You've downloaded the templates, but they're still sitting untouched in your inbox. And like I said, I've done this before, and you're not alone if you've done this as well. And so today, like I said, I had heard the term, it's called frozen intent. And I want to talk about why this happens, and more importantly, how to kind of thaw out that freeze so that you can move forward with confidence. So grab your favorite bevy, grab something to write with, and let's dive in. So think about the last time you got excited, maybe about a new book you got, a program or a resource, and you told yourself, this time will be different. This time, I've invested in it. Maybe you even block some time on your calendar and you're like, I'm going to follow through this time. I'm really going to do it. And then unfortunately, life gets busy, or you second guess yourself, and slowly that intention starts to fade, starts to freeze. And the problem, it's not that you're lazy at all, and it's not a lack of desire either. The problem is the mental story that we start to tell ourselves, whether it's I never finish things, or I can't trust myself to follow through, or why bother, I'm just going to quit again. Those stories start to become heavier the more we tell them to ourselves, and they start to then block the change that you're trying to make. And so if you've ever thought these things, I've got 3 strategies that can help you start to kind of, like I said, thaw out that frozen intent and build back that trust in yourself. So the first strategy is to kind of shrink the commitment. Now, what does this mean? This means instead of taking on a huge program or a big transformation, I want you to ask yourself, what's the absolute smallest action I can take right now? For example, say you bought a new course that you've never finished. Don't tell yourself you need to either restart from the beginning or block out a huge amount of time. Just commit to like 10 minutes of it, 5 minutes of it. And then that's all I want you to do. Even if you have more time or you feel motivated, that small action is actually going to do 2 things. It's going to lower the pressure so that you actually do it, as well as it gives you a quick win. And quick wins not only give you that dopamine hit of setting a goal and achieving it, but it starts to rebuild your trust. And that trust in yourself and your ability to follow through is starting to then melt that frozen intent. The second strategy is to create evidence and not expectations. Frozen intent grows when we focus only on the end goal and beat ourselves up for not being there yet. Like, why haven't we done this yet? Or why can't we do it? And instead, I want you to shift your focus to building evidence that you're someone who shows up. You're someone who achieves your goals. Maybe you write down each tiny step that you complete. And like we said in the previous strategy, it is going to be a tiny, tiny step, and you do them one at a time. So maybe you track your consistency on a sticky note by your desk each time you do 5 minutes of that module or 10 minutes of that module, because the point isn't about perfection. The point is to gather proof that you're taking action and that you're able to do that. And so think of it like building a resume of your own success. Every little step is a line that says, see, I follow through. See, I do that. And you'll see over time that those little moments that we created in strategy 1, you create a lot of evidence to the fact that you're capable of doing that. Which brings us to that third part of the strategy, which was borrowing accountability until it becomes natural. Because sometimes when our confidence is low, our own motivation, our own internal drive needs a little help and support. And so we need some of that outside accountability to get us on track, to help us build the habit to the point that it becomes automated. So that could be a friend that you check in with once a week, a coworker who's maybe also working on that new habit, or even posting your progress publicly. This past year, I was given the opportunity to join a book club with a couple of other ladies, and it's a personal development book club for all those books, those personal development books that maybe you've got on your shelves that you've started and either haven't finished or haven't followed through on implementing. And I love this because we do all these strategies. We practice them. Like, we don't read the whole book at once. We read it in small chunks. We set small goals to help ourselves track our progress, as well as then we have that accountability of knowing we've got our next meeting next month to kind of respond to the things we said we were going to do. And so the thing is, recognizing accountability isn't about pressure or guilt. It's about support. And the right kind of accountability is going to cheer you on, build you up, and remind you why you started, and not just nag you when you slip. Because let's be honest, nobody's perfect. And so over time, this external accountability is going to help you rebuild your internal accountability, the belief that you can trust and rely on yourself again to make these things happen. And so, these are some mindset shifts that we're talking about. And so I want you to remember, frozen intent is not a permanent state. It's just a pause. It's a moment where your brain is trying to protect you from disappointment, because if you never start, you can't fail. But disappointment only sticks if you stop trying. And so we don't want that disappointment. We don't want you to stop trying. We want you to change the narrative. And so instead of telling yourself, I never finish things, I want you to start saying, I'm learning to keep promises to myself one small step at a time. And that shift is so powerful at giving yourself grace, giving yourself permission, and being able to get out of that freeze. So if you've been stuck in that cycle of starting but not finishing or following through, I want you to give yourself the grace that you're not broken, you're just frozen. And frozen things can thaw. So start small, build some evidence, and borrow accountability. And with every little step, you're going to prove to yourself that you are capable of achieving the goals and making the change that you set out to. So if this episode hit home for you, I'd love to hear which of these strategies are helping you the most, which one maybe you need a little bit of extra support in. Send me a message or share it with a friend who needs that reminder that change is possible. And if you want more support or need to borrow my accountability to build that trust in yourself and break free from burnout, please send me a message, grab one of the free spots on my calendar, and let's start working together in the Exhausted to Empowered formula and get you on your way to achieving your goals. So thanks so much for hanging out with me today. And until next time, remember that small steps make a big impact in moving you forward. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you got something out of this episode that really made you feel seen, supported, or just a little bit more grounded. If you have any questions or thoughts, I'd love to hear from you. And if you're up for it, please leave me a 5-star review. That will help more people find the show and join this community. I'll leave you with 2 of my favorite quotes. Alone we may be strong, but together we're stronger. And when we support each other, incredible things happen. So let's keep showing up for ourselves and each other, and maybe even have some fun while we're at it. I'll talk to you soon.